Welcome to this exhibition, Creative Spaces, hosted by What's Contemporary and curated by Gwen Hughes in partnership with Liss Llewellyn. Over the past 30 years, Liss Llewellyn have been sourcing artwork directly from artist studios. Last year, we published Portrait of an Artist, which was accompanied by a wonderful museum exhibition in Newcastle at the Lang Art Gallery. In this current exhibition, we have a selection of 50 artworks from the show in Newcastle, and we are revisiting this theme. We are able to explore spaces such as interiors and studios, going beyond that and seeing artists at work in their gardens or outdoor spaces, and even extensions of artist studios. In this painting by Charles Burley, we can see a still life inside the artist studio. These compositions were very common in the 19th century because they allowed artists to demonstrate their artistic abilities. In these compositions, we find all sorts of different surfaces and textures that artists would paint from objects and elements in their studio, such as ceramics or glass, metal, and velvets. In this composition, we can see the artist's easel on the left-hand corner, and coming through the background, through the window, we can see the artist's hometown hove appearing. Beyond artists' interiors and studios, we can also see depictions of artists at work. So here we have two wonderful examples of this exactly, with Stephen Bone's depictions of fellow artist and also his wife, Mary Adshead, working in situ. In this painting, we can see Adshead working from the comfort of her own garden in Haverstock Hill in London, whereas in this painting, we can see Adshead working in situ by the sea, which was probably during a sketching holiday. Bone and Adshead both shared a studio, and they aimed to create at least one painting a day, which they would do en lieu, directly applying paint in a rapid manner to small wooden panels, which were easy to transport from location to location. Whilst many artists had the privilege to create with ease and abundantly out of their working studios or spaces, a lot of artists did not have this luck. And this is especially true for women artists, such as Evelyn Dunbar. We can see in this sketch a domestic scene of her mother Florence peeling apples in the kitchen. And in the foreground, we can see an easel which both artists, Evelyn Dunbar and her mother Florence, likely had to share. A lot of women artists were confined to smaller spaces and therefore had to work on smaller scale as well. Because of historical prejudices, women artists also faced often financial hardship, which meant that it wasn't always easy to be able to find a model or pay for a model. For this reason, a lot of women artists had to turn to domestic scenes or to themselves to use themselves as subjects, such as we can see in Evelyn Dunbar's self-portrait, which also features in this exhibition. Of course, hardship was not only exclusive to women at this period. The artist Charles Marley faced financial hardship as a student, which meant that due to changing his lodging frequently, he did not have a secure space to create his work. When he was able to settle down in a small cottage with his mother in Kent just before World War II, this was the first time Marley had access to a space of his own to create his work. The cottage was still too small to accommodate an artist studio, but he was able to paint out of a garden shed which benefited from north-facing light. About once a year, Marley was able to leave this confined space, however luscious or however abundant in subject matter, to go to East Essex, where he would stay in a fellow artist and friend's caravan, which he used as a studio to paint in situ. And this is what we can see here in this painting entitled Caravan at Pevensey, which gives us insight into another form of artist studio where Marley was able to create his work. Going beyond interior spaces and artist studios, we can have a look at this painting by Harry Bush called Snowfall in the Suburbs. In this landscape, Harry Bush looks outwards from the inside of his house. This landscape is a wonderful example of how abundantly an artist can create when they have access to their own space and access to their own environment beyond their studio, which they can claim as their own. I think what we can take away from this exhibition is how many incredibly engaging pictures there are to discover by still unfamiliar names. I'd like to finish on a quote, which is, Every picture you make, every drawing you make is a self-portrait. And I think this is especially fitting for this show because each and every picture, by transporting the viewer back to the place and time to witness these moments of creation, tell us a little bit about the artist's working methods, but also their characters and personalities.